Welcome and hello, everyone. This is Mary Hasworth Fernandez, your host of Leadership, Legacies, and Legends, the podcast. Today, I am so excited to share with you a topic in the self help category, as this whole quarter is all about emotional intelligence and self care. This topic, perfection versus excellence, is about personal growth and letting go and adapting to working with others and a new way of doing things. For some, that can be stressful. For some, it is an answer to a prayer. So let's get started. Here we go. Perfection versus excellence. How many of us are running around this earth with this attribute? As we go further, you'll find that they give it a whole different name. So let's begin. Perfection versus excellence. How many people is this affecting? Is it affecting you, your household, your team, your staff? Are others watching what you do? Are you sitting at a computer for long periods of time wondering where to get started? Are you working on something that you just have not completed? Perfection. They call it a condition, state, or quality of being free, or as free as possible from all flaws. All flaws, y'all. How perfection works. All flaws, free of all defects. Whereas excellence is defined as the quality of being outstanding or extremely good. I Googled this, and that definition came from the Oxford Languages. And you can find that on YouTube. Just hit it and ask Google. Pictured here for those that are listening to this on a podcast is a office of women, because I'm focusing on executive women from the executive community. An office of women, all eyes on one sheet of paper, a computer in front, totally exhausted and frustrated. This picture can evoke emotions. So there's meaningful distinction between doing something with excellence and striving for perfection. Perfectionism can often lead to feelings of inadequacy and create obstacles in finishing important work. How many have experienced that? I'd love for you to write it in the comment or give me an amen or some hearts or some love to see if I'm hitting any of the home runs with your thoughts or your experiences. Excellence is both achievable and more than enough, allowing you to accomplish your goals with confidence and fulfillment. That's a feeling of victory. When we roll right along, we find that our productivity will soar. For example, a poorly written but complete book. How many of us are working on books, y'all? Give me an amen if you're working on a book. You don't have to put your title in the comments, but do let me know. Are you working on a book? But a complete book can be published, but a perfectly composed book that only half finished is essentially worthless. Now, of course, there's a middle ground between poor and perfect, and that middle ground and that terrain includes excellence. Oh, take an exhale here, because for some that is a hard thing to receive, because we're perfectionists sometimes to the point of not ever finishing or running into that brick wall of feeling like I'll never get this done or this is not good enough. But know that this is good enough. Perfection can truly slow down our attainment. In pursuing perfection, not only are we doomed to fail, but in the end, you also might have nothing to show for your efforts. Just stop a minute and reflect on a time when you may have been caught up in or lost in perfection. Take this project right here. I know the content was just first and foremost on my mind to get it out, but I also know there are different personality types listening. And then I deal with my desire to a very visual, full of details and sometimes raw details way beyond the point that's needed. So it delayed getting this out on YouTube out on the podcast and your favorite listening sites, and also to those who are going to get a free copy of this slide presentation in a download at the end of the presentation. So let's look at what happens. There's a law of diminishing returns. Have you ever heard of that? I remember hearing it so many times in college. I Googled it as well, and you can to back it up. A perfect handy resource in our new normal. This is an economic principle that states in my words that you cannot, altered it a little bit, you cannot get stuck on one detail and everything else stays the same. It decreases your performance. Many examples can go forth. So search some keywords about diminishing return in different situations and how that relates to different jobs. But it's a truth. It seems to go across many platforms. Here's an example of how I personally adapted my stuck switch, how I had to wake up and have some way of shocking me out of the stuck situation to move forward. Of course, I was sharing I was writing this blog about 3 or 4 days ago. Got ready, didn't get there. I ran into a perfectionist who struck every note or trigger that I had already seemingly overcome. It took me back instantly. That's what triggers do. It took me back instantly to my clash with myself and another perfectionist. We were both stuck on one detail, great at what we do. And you'll run into that excellence all around you because each of you listening, or if you're an executive woman, or if you're in a work environment, you earned your way there. So you all come gifted. And sometimes we butt heads or we stop because of we have so many things in common and we want to get our point across. So we both were stuck on one detail. Actually, I realized I was stuck. She was frustrated because she understood the big picture. Her excellence and her expertise, she saw the end game, as I do many times in certain projects that I'm doing. So the roles are reversed. We worked it out. My style and her style are so massive and we're so full of many years of experience that we decided like this. We'll work together and we now mentor each other. We encourage each other and we empower one another. Sometimes one is in the lead and sometimes one's the student. We exchange roles so that we can get the job done and get the word out there. Here's an example. Imagine you spent 25 hours on a 2-page paper for a college class. Would you get an A? Is that guaranteed that you'll get an A because you spent 25 hours on a 2-page assignment? Or imagine that you will get that A. You know, really, we wish you the A and you wish yourself the A and you ordain yourself that A. But what else may have suffered because of that 25 hours on a 2-page college assignment or high school or elementary or group or organization? What about other classes and obligations? Maybe instead you could have done something enjoyable. So that's giving yourself some grace, okay? The other thing to consider is this. Could you have gotten an A with 2 hours of work or 5? From a practical standpoint, the same results can often be attained with much less time and effort. There is nothing to be gained by spending more time on something than is truly needed. So let's proceed. If you can relate, write it in the comments for me. Or oh my God, look at there. There's a big mistake. Shall I redo this whole presentation or stop the slide presentation because there's a big mistake right there blaring out at me? Perfection says redo, redo. Some of the audience may say she should have stopped and redone that. Or we could have just said, for the podcasters, they're only listening. They don't see that. But I'm making a big issue out of it. For the perfectionist, it is just too much. She should have stopped, redone the whole presentation in order to get that one big error out of there. So what's more productive? Shall we move forward? Maybe instead you could have done something enjoyable. How does that statement make you feel? Do you have time for something enjoyable? Can you get distracted from that one little arrow that's sitting there looking at us? The other thing to consider, as I said, is this. Could you have gotten an A with 2 hours of work or five? From a practical standpoint, the same results can often be attained with much less time and effort. Believe in yourself. Believe in your invested time that you prepared for that work and that you studied and that got you to this point. There is nothing to be gained by spending more time on something than is truly needed. This is painful when we look back at items, details that made us spend enormous, y'all, enormous is a big word, amount of time, and time is money, spent seeking perfection. Here's a tip: do it and do it well. Do it to your best. Delegate it if that is something that can be delegated, and release it. That's from Coach Mary. If you spent 6 hours, for example, number two, washing and waxing your car, and your neighbor spent 2 hours on his or her car, do you think anyone could tell the difference a week later? More importantly, what else could have you done or accomplished with that extra 4 hours? Life is short, y'all, and there's a lot to do. What else could you do with your time besides trying and seeking perfection? Now, hit the heart buttons, hit the like buttons, put your comments in there, and let's see what we can do with encouraging one another. That encourages me. For my podcast listeners, subscribe to my channel at Mary Fernandez Biz channel on YouTube and listen on your favorite sites. And for those in the audience and in the social media world, I just want to again thank you for being here. And exhale. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath. Exhale out. All right, we're getting ready to talk about pursuing excellence instead. Oh my goodness, there's another big detail. Who can catch the big detail on this slide that could stop us and make us move back? No, we're going to move forward. Of course, you'll want to decide on the level of excellence you wish to attain before getting started on your project. Get ready to get ready, as in when you sit down and you're just thinking about, for the first time, the project with no pre-thought, no preparation, no excitement or anticipation, or analyzing what you may need and what is the end game. When we do that, we kind of have to do it anyway. And sometimes it takes longer. So prepare for the work you're about to do. Now, everything you do should have standards that you strive to attain. And if you choose your benchmark of completion properly, there's never a good reason to go beyond that. Put your comments in likes and comments in the under the podcast or on Facebook or wherever you're viewing this, because some will agree and some won't. Is that a trigger that triggered your element of perfectionism? Moving right along. Okay. One thing to consider is this: release it as a wow. It was that one little thing that created all this energy, delay, that 25 hours you spent on a 2-page project or class assignment, or that 5 to 6 hours you spent washing and loving your beautiful car. What exactly is excellence anyway? How excellent? There's a beautiful song called How Excellent. That level of excellence, can it be reached? In our discussion, excellent means the task was completed at a high enough level that there's no cause for concern. You know your work will meet whatever requirements are put upon it, regardless of the nature of the task. You know that it's done well enough and you have zero concerns about it. Your best is good enough. But can you hear yourself eternally arguing or defending It's not. That's not me. That's not how people know me. It's not. Did these emotions, where did they come from? What was the trigger? What makes us stuck in a certain way of questioning and doubting and replaying more, better, better? High enough level that there's no cause for concern because that's how you do things, right? When deciding how well a project really needs to be done, consider the possible outcomes if the task is completed at various levels of excellence or various levels of completion. Once the proper level has been set, you now have a target, a goal that's been chosen with some thought and intelligence. Now simply perform the task to that level and stop. That's a hard thing to do for many of us. I mean, I'm guilty. I mean, when you come to one of the events that I do, from my cruises to my awards to my celebrations, I want to make it especially special for every single person. So they leave going, wow, that was great. I had a great time. This was wonderful. I can't wait for the next event. In fact, we have an event coming up called Charge Up Your Business Workshop, where we're going to give you some insight, details, and secrets about why you want to be safe in doing business with other people, and that'll be presented by the awesome Elizabeth Carter from the BD&D. That's the Better Business Bureau. And then you have Michelle Springs from MES, where she wants to give you the basics of computers and social media and your infrastructure. Then there's me. I'll be presenting AI, basic expenses at the start of your business. What do you need at the beginning? What do you do not need? What you should wait for? So the goal is less stress. I mean, less stress because you want to enjoy doing what you love to do. You want to enjoy the journey and become aware of some of the internal hangups or habits that have become a part of our lifestyle to the point where we're using up time that could be used for something enjoyable that you can do, including nothing. Okay? You'll be happier, more productive, and you'll maintain your sanity, y'all. How many write sanity in the comments, please? Sanity, or send me some hearts, stars. You'll maintain your sanity much more easily by striving for excellence. Instead, focus on exceeding expectations in terms of time. So we're going to release that need, that trigger. In conclusion, for this one point I wanted to make about habits, internal habits, subconscious habits, adopted habits, in particular, perfectionism. I know some high performing perfectionists who love and embrace their perfectionism and who put up their boundaries of what they will do and what standards they will hit. That bar for me is, in looking at them, is too high and too stressful to the point where we have an agreement. We work together on certain things, and certain things we absolutely cannot work on. But her support is always there. Then there's excellence. Excellence. Your best is good enough. Your best is good enough. You don't have to fit in. You can stand out. You're unique and special. So when all of us come together as professionals, we can get the job done without delay, distractions, and frustration. Quality and productivity. Excellence always wins in the end. Performance, the job well done. It is our goal to get the jobs done, the assignments, the projects, whatever it is. So if you are a group or an organization and you're working together and you find that there's some stagnation, I'd love to come in and do a mini lunch and learn where we can have fun examining hangups that may impact our productivity or habits or tips and tools to help us come together as an organization or group where I become a part of you. Your mission becomes my mission when I come to do and serve my clients. To work together to examine things that we may not be addressing, like the elephant in the room. We're not getting a lot done. There's always a little this or a little that, a pull to the left, a pull to the right, and we're just not getting things done. Or you may want a speaking engagement. So reach out to me at support@wuhibyMary.com or check out my website, wuhi, WOHI, at wuhibyMary.com. Okay. Thank you for your time. It was helpful. Was this helpful? Did you have value in the time that you spent here? Do you want to work with the coach? Do you want a speaking engagement? Do you want a workshop? Do you want a lunch and learn on leadership development and a whole slew of topics and things you may need? Just reach out to me and my team. And as we get ready for the freebie I told you about, lots of love and thank yous to everyone who was listening on the podcast, everyone who saw it on YouTube. And remember to share this with your friends, your family, even students, or just share it with those you think could benefit or communicate that this may be something we want to examine. Here's your freebie. This is how you get it. Right here on the bottom of this page, you can stay in touch with Coach Mary, executive coach, right here in my executive women's program. And that is right here for those who are viewing it in the slide presentation. It's a little here in blue, just click that. But for those who want the free download of the slide presentation, you click here. And if you go in there, you get your slide presentation and you want to unsubscribe immediately, please do, because I only want your quality time and I want your full time and attention when we're working to grow and build new things together. So this is the conclusion to our topic, perfection versus excellence. How to have a win-win, not only for you, but for the team you work with. For those that have the podcast, the links will be below. And this is a limited time offer. You can download between now and November 15th. And again, if we come back at a given point in the future, we'll make sure that you can find this. But it is already in our executive women's community. And if you join over there, you'll get a lot of other fantastic things. So we're growing our community and we'd love you to be a part of it. This is Mary Haswell Fernandez, your host of Leadership Legacies and Legends Unleashed, the podcast. Can't wait to see you. I pray you've had a blessing from the time we've had together. Good night, good day, and everyone be well. Bye-bye.